I'm Monica. The phone rang 22 times in an hour. I know because my daughter, Ava, counted. She thought it was a fun game. I was 300 miles from home, sitting on a beach blanket on Myrtle Beach, watching my son, Ethan, dig a hole in the sand with a plastic shovel. He was convinced he could reach the other side of the world. My mom was calling from a resort parking lot in Charleston. My sister, Bella, was beside her, yelling at a clerk who couldn't give them a room they hadn't paid for. But I didn't know that then. All I knew was the sound of the ocean, the sand beneath my feet, and the fact that for the first time in a long while I'd chosen my kids over my family's demands. That phone call, and the 21 that followed, were just the end of this whole mess. Let me tell you how we got here. I work as a bookkeeper at Dr. Thompson's Dental Clinic on Elm Street. It's a small practice in a quiet town. I make about $45,000 a year. It's not a glamorous job, but it pays the bills. I'm good at it. I reconcile invoices, manage payroll, and keep track of the supplies. Numbers don't lie, and they don't ask for favors. My apartment is a short drive from the clinic, 12 minutes to be exact. It's also close to Ava's middle school and Ethan's kindergarten. Every morning, I'm up at 5:30. I pack Ava's lunch with a turkey and avocado sandwich and Ethan's with a peanut butter and jelly one because he loves it. Then I drive them to school, get to work by 7:45, pick them up from after-school care at 5:15, and we're home by 5:40. Dinner, bath, stories, and bed. It's a routine, but it's mine. I'm careful with money. I have a budget spreadsheet with 12 columns. I clip coupons and buy groceries on sale. I put $100 a month into a travel savings account. It's my little secret, a way to dream about a better future. But in my family, being good with money is more of a curse than a blessing. People don't resent you for being broke, they resent you for being smart with your finances. They get jealous when you have savings and they don't. They get angry when you say no to their requests. My dad understood me. He was a carpenter, a hard-working man who built houses with his own two hands. He was 60 years old when he got sick. He had a heart attack and ended up in the hospital. I was 28 at the time, and Bella was 32. We stood on either side of his hospital bed. He looked at me and said, "Monica, I need you to take care of things." He meant the bills, the insurance, and Mom's well-being. He pulled out an envelope from his bedside table. Inside were the insurance papers, Mom's bank details, and a list of monthly expenses. "Keep your mom safe," he said. I took the envelope, my hands shaking. Bella watched from the corner. She didn't say a word in the room. But as soon as we were in the elevator, she pulled out her phone and sent me a text. "Dad always liked you better. Enjoy your new responsibility." I sat in my car for a long time after that. I wasn't surprised by her words. The surprise was that Dad had chosen me. We both knew why. Bella had a history of overspending and not paying her debts. She'd borrowed money from Dad and never paid it back. Dad loved her, but he couldn't trust her with money. Dad passed away 3 months later. It was a rainy day in November. The life insurance paid out $75,000. I sat at my kitchen table and did what Dad asked. I paid off his medical bills, $25,000. I fixed Mom's roof, which cost $6,000. I bought a new refrigerator because the old one was on its last legs, $1,500. After everything, I had $32,500 left. I put $30,000 in a savings account in Mom's name, an emergency fund that was off limits. The rest covered the funeral expenses because Bella said she'd handle it but didn't. After that, I set up a $200 monthly transfer to Mom's account. Her Social Security check wasn't enough to cover all her expenses. Bella contributed nothing. "I have my own life to worry about," she said. She had a nice house, a new car, and a husband, Victor. But she also had leverage. She had 2 kids, Lucas and Mia, and Mom adored them. "If you keep inviting Monica on family outings, I won't bring the kids around," she told Mom. Mom stopped inviting me. I found out when Ava asked why Grandma only wanted to see her on weekends. I didn't have a good answer, so I just adjusted our plans and kept sending the money. For as long as I can remember, our family went on a beach vacation every summer. We'd go to Myrtle Beach, stay in a small beach house, and spend the week swimming, eating ice cream, and making memories. Dad would load the car early in the morning, Mom would pack the snacks, and Bella and I would bicker in the back seat. It was the one time of the year when we were all happy. When Dad died, I didn't want the tradition to end. Ava loved building sandcastles, and Ethan was born in July. His first beach trip was when he was 8 months old. He put sand in his mouth and laughed. So, I kept it going. I booked the house, organized the food, and paid for everything. Last summer, we rented a 2-bedroom beach house for 4 nights. It cost $1,800. I paid $1,500, and Bella Venmo'd me $300 a month later after I asked her twice. Mom paid nothing. I didn't complain. I told myself it was for the kids. This summer, Bella had a different idea. 3 months before the trip, Victor was dropping off Lucas and Mia at Bella's house. He was 38, worked in sales, and drove a fancy car. He and Bella had been divorced for a year but still argued like they were married. Victor leaned against his car and said, "You know Monica turned me down for that $3,000 loan, right? I wanted to start a side business. I'd said no politely, and I'd meant it." Bella folded her arms. "She's so stingy. Always has been." Victor looked at the house. "Your mom is still an authorized user on Monica's bank account, right?" Bella didn't answer right away. "So what?" Victor shrugged. "Book a fancy resort. Use that card. Monica owes this family for all the years she's been hoarding Dad's money." Bella hesitated for a few seconds. That was all the conscience she had left. "She does owe us," she said. I was at home that evening, helping Ava with her math homework. I had no idea what was going on. A few weeks later, it was Lucas's 11th birthday. Mom's house was decorated with balloons and streamers. I brought a cake from the bakery downtown, Ava's favorite chocolate with vanilla frosting. Ethan carried a gift box with a remote control car inside. The party was going well for the first hour. The kids were playing in the backyard, Mom was grilling hot dogs, and our neighbor, Mrs. Harris, was sitting on the porch, sipping lemonade. Then Bella pulled me into the kitchen. She closed the door, leaned against the counter, and crossed her arms. "I need to tell you something about the summer trip. We've decided to go to Charleston this year. Me, Mom, and the kids." I waited for her to continue. "Your kids aren't coming. Lucas and Mia don't want them there." The words hit me like a punch in the gut. I looked past her into the living room. Mom was standing there, holding my debit card. The card I'd given her for emergencies. "Why do you have my card, Mom?" I asked. Mom looked at Bella and then at me. Bella said she needed it for the booking. Mrs. Harris was in the living room. She saw everything. She saw Bella's angry face, Mom's nervous expression, and me trying to make sense of it all. I nodded. "Keep it," I said. Then I called Ava and Ethan, picked up the cake, and left. On the way home, Ava asked, "Why did we leave early, Mom?" I looked at her in the rear view mirror. "Sometimes adults need to make tough decisions, sweetie." When we got home, I sat on my bed and opened my banking app. I'd noticed a few small withdrawals over the past few months, but I'd thought Mom had used the card for groceries. I called Mom, and she said she'd pay me back. But I decided to check further. I found 3 more withdrawals, $50 at a coffee shop, $80 at a clothing store, and $70 at a restaurant. I called the bank the next day. They said I needed both parties present or a notarized letter to remove Mom as an authorized user. It would take 7 to 10 business days. I didn't have the patience for that. So, I went to a different bank and opened a new checking and savings account. I transferred all my money, $2,200 from savings and $1,200 from checking. The old account was left with $10. 2 weeks later, we had Sunday dinner at Mom's. Bella was in a good mood. She pulled out her phone and showed Mom a picture of a luxury resort in Charleston. "Look at this, Mom. 4 nights, ocean view, a kids club, and a seafood buffet. It's perfect." Mom smiled. "It looks amazing, dear." Bella looked at me. "You can't afford it anyway." She laughed. Ethan looked up from his plate. "Are we going to the beach too, Mommy?" The table went silent. Ava stared at her plate, Mom looked at her hands, and Bella took a sip of her wine. "We'll have our own adventure, buddy," I said. I squeezed his shoulder. After dinner, I went home and started looking for a beach vacation for me and the kids. I found a small motel on Myrtle Beach. It had a room available for the same week as Bella's trip. It cost $75 a night, $300 for 4 nights. I calculated the expenses, the room, gas, food, and activities. It would cost about $800 in total. I had enough money in my new account, so I booked it. I didn't tell anyone about our trip. I just put a note on the fridge that said beach and left it at that. Ava found the note the next morning. "Beach? Are we going?" I smiled. "It's a surprise." I found out later what Bella had been up to. She'd booked the resort in Charleston in early April. The total cost was $3,000. She put down a $600 deposit on her credit card and planned to use my card to pay the remaining $2,400. A week before the trip, Bella sent a group text with pictures of the resort pool and the ocean view. Then she sent a message, "Mom, I booked a seafood dinner cruise too. It's $400. It'll be on the same card." I read the message and checked my old account. It still had $10. I didn't reply to the text. I knew Bella would have to face the consequences. The day before the trip, Victor was at Bella's house, helping with the packing. He asked, "Are you sure Monica's card has enough money?" Bella said, "She puts money in every month. There should be at least $2,000 by now." Victor did the math in his head. "And your mom has the card?" Bella nodded. "Monica told her to keep it." Victor grinned. "Then it's all set." The next day, Bella, Mom, Lucas, and Mia drove to Charleston. When they got to the resort, the front desk clerk told them there was a remaining balance of $2,400. Bella tried to pay with her credit card, but it was declined because she'd maxed it out. Bella called Mom. Monica's card was declined. Mom said, "The card is right here. I'll try it at an ATM." She drove to the nearest bank, checked the balance, and called Bella back. "There's only $10. Bella was furious. She must have moved the money. "I'm calling her." She called me, but I was at work. I saw her name on the caller ID and pressed decline. I was done being her bank. Bella tried to find a way to pay the remaining balance. She called Victor, but he said he didn't have the money. She then asked Mom to withdraw money from her savings. Mom was reluctant, but she did it. She withdrew $600 from her emergency fund. Bella scraped together another $600 from her friends, but she was still short $1,200. She called me again that evening. I was giving Ethan a bath. I watched the phone ring and didn't answer. A text came in, "I know you moved your money. We need to talk." I ignored it. I was focused on my kids. The next day, Bella showed up at my door. She looked tired and angry. "What did you do with the money?" I kept my voice calm. My money is in my new account. You weren't supposed to use it for a luxury vacation. Bella's face turned red. Steal? Mom is an authorized user. That's not stealing. I said, then why didn't you ask me? She was silent for a moment. We need that money. The kids are counting on it. I said, your kids, not mine. You made it clear they didn't want my kids there. Bella tried to soften her tone. I'm sorry about what I said. Can you help? I shook my head. You told Ava she wasn't part of the family. We're done. I closed the door and locked it. A few hours later, Mom called me at work. Can't you just put the money back for the family? I said, Mom, you let Bella use my card without asking me. You told me my kids weren't welcome. You always go along with whatever Bella says. Mom started crying. Your father would be so disappointed in you. I said, Dad told me to stop when it started hurting me. I'm done. I hung up the phone. That evening, I packed the car for our trip. Ava and Ethan were excited. We drove to Myrtle Beach and checked into our motel. The room was small but clean. We went to the beach and had the best time. The phone rang 22 times that afternoon. I didn't answer any of the calls. I was too busy watching Ava and Ethan play in the sand and looking for dolphins in the ocean. Later that evening, I listened to the voicemails. Mom was crying, saying the trip had fallen apart, the deposit was gone, and they were stuck. I felt sorry for them, but I knew I'd made the right decision. We came home a few days later, sun-tanned and happy. A few weeks later, Mom called me and apologized. She said she'd been wrong to let Bella use my card. I told her that from now on, my finances were my own. I was still open to spending time with her and the kids, but I wouldn't be funding their trips anymore. Bella didn't call. I think she was too proud to admit she was wrong. But at a family gathering a few months later, Lucas came up to me and asked if Ava could come over and play. I said yes. It was a small step, but it gave me hope that things could get better. If someone needs your bank card to keep you in the family, you were never really part of it. You were just the bank. And I'm done being the bank.